This is WEBurlesque.
This is Demi Entendre.
Hi, it's Paris Stilton.
This is Quinn Dixie.
Hi, this is BB Sanchez.
Hi, this is Eats a Dry Heat, and you're listening to WEBurlesque Season 10.
This is WEBurlesque Podcast. I'm host Viktor Devonne, and through the miracle of fiber optics, I talk to nightlife individuals in the field of cabaret, burlesque, drag, and today is no exception. I have Delightful on the pod. Hello, Dee.
Hello, how are you, Victor?
Glad to have you on.
So thrilled.
We met, gosh, August? It must have been
August,
at
at OBF.
at the Ohio Burlesque Festival, where
Although I've been following you for much longer than that. Yes.
oh, please tell me more. You're in Central New York.
I am. I'm in Freeville, New York, which is basically Ithaca, New York.
Okay, I've been to Ithaca.
Yeah.
So, home of Whiskey Tango and
Home
a
of
number
Whiskey
of
Tango Sideshow. They actually, one of my homework assignments when Bellison was mentoring me was to research the entire burlesque history of the Finger Lakes region.
oh, good.
And Whiskey Tango was the troupe that brought burlesque back to the Finger Lakes, during the revival. Yeah.
Have you always been in that area?
Mostly. I wandered
Mm.
for my 20s, as many of us do, and then came back in my late 20s, early 30s. Yeah.
Why do you think that that area, possibly besides, there being either family or, financial reasons, but why do you feel that that area is right for you? What is it? What is it about the Finger Lakes that is?
It was a family thing that initially drew me back. But I love the Finger Lakes. I think I always have to live somewhere that has four seasons
Uh,
that I can see the seasons change. I
uh,
also think growing up on water, with all the lakes, I grew up like my window faced a creek. And
uh,
so just being somewhere where there's water is really important to me as well.
how many
Plus, I live
lakes
in
are there?
Ithaca, which is so artsy, right? Like it's
Yeah,
artsy,
sure.
it's the home of old hippies, and so it creates like a unique little microcosm in what can otherwise be a challenging area. Yeah.
Sure. Well, how many lakes are there? There's
There are
nine or
so many
10?
lakes,
So many.
actually. So people say five Finger Lakes, but I think there's actually like 12, like 10,
Wow.
like all the fingers. But
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Are you a nature person?
I am. I like to hike.
Huh. I am not. I've learned this about myself. I mean, I will go out and I will, I'll enjoy the out of doors on occasion. But I have learned that it is not something that it calls to me. Like it's not something
Mm.
like let's go camping or let's go up. I'm not like let's climb a mountain because it's there kind of guy. I don't know.
Yeah, so the Adirondacks are like 4 hours from me, and there's 26 high peaks there. I've climbed five of them because they're there.
Mm-hmm.
But that was, it's a smidge younger. My knees had a little bit more cartilage in them then. I haven't
Oh,
done anything like that in a while. Yeah.
ugh. Were you a theatrical young person?
An absolute theater nerd. Probably saved my high school life,
Mm,
honestly. Right?
mm-hmm.
Just it gave me a weirdness outlet. Yeah.
We are within a realm of age similarity. May I ask?
I'm 56.
Oh, okay. Then, all right. Then, great.
Yeah. Just a tad older than you. I
It's
didn't
a
start
tad.
burlesque until I was 50. Yeah, so
And,
56.
this is a story for some folks.
Hmm.
Dear friend Sepia Jewell, who is in San Diego, has a similar story. So we'll get to
Yeah.
the path, but what did you do before all of that that was so time consuming before you found yourself on the stage and producing?
I mean, I did a lot of things. That's the thing. I do something and I love it for a while and then I wander off. But I was
Mm,
also a single mom, right?
mm.
So a lot of that time went to raising my son and all of his activities. And you know, they didn't have the internet when I was in my 20s, so there's not no documentation of those years, and that's cool with me. I did wander a bit, and I had to get some things right side up in order to raise my son. So I spent a lot of time doing that. I decided to get a master's degree. I did that and worked
You
on
know,
my
just a little thing like a master's degree.
little things,
Yeah,
from
wow.
Cornell University, where I
Goodness
now work.
gracious.
So yeah, so
What
I
is
did all.
what was the field?
I did it in industrial and labor relations. I focused on leadership and organizational behavior and development was really my thing. I love it. I love it. So,
Can you
uh,
give me a practical usage of that in the daily world so I have an idea of what that actually means?
yeah, I think well, one, it makes me a really good manager because I'm more focused on people and how
Sure.
people go together, but then also how people fit together with systems.
Okay.
So I do that a lot. I
Hmm.
actually do a lot of leadership training as well. I managed to weave that into almost everything I do. My day job is actually as director of IT for the university libraries, and which I never would have stuck with for this long if I wasn't able to weave in things that I love. So I facilitate Cornell's staff leadership development programs. I got a grant last year to start a women's leadership program at Cornell. And so I apply that degree in all kinds of different ways to keep myself happy.
Do you know what you were thinking it would be when you started? Did you have a specific path in mind for when you went for that degree?
No, I just knew that I really liked training and development. My undergraduate degree was from Wells College, an all women's institution, which has since died. But and I was in English education. I thought I would be like a high school teacher, and I really hated it. So, but I'm still a teacher at heart. I'm still a teacher at heart. And so I was trying to figure out how to do that, but I'm really interested in leadership and self-development and professional development. And so I thought somehow I'd weave that in because I work at Cornell and I worked at Cornell at the time. Our business school is really famous. And so everyone kept pushing me to do an MBA. And I just had no desire to do that. And so I decided to do a master's in ILR, which is still a professional degree, but more aligned with what I love.
Well, it
Yeah.
has to do with people, right? So it has to do not
Yeah.
only with organization of files or systems or concepts, but also the people who are behind those.
Huge people.
And
Yeah.
I would imagine that that has been very useful in the burlesque production
It
world as well.
has been extremely useful. Yes.
Do you
Yes. I love
think that
that.
you are fairly insightful person when it comes to figuring out what prevents or what an individual might need to work on to be the best that they can at leadership or at a specific task?
I think I'm very good at that,
Mm,
actually. I really believe when you're working with people that if you're a leader, and I think everyone's a leader, so there's that too. But like if you have a leadership title or you're responsible for developing people, that's where your focus goes.
mm,
I don't think my job is to create mini me's all over the place. Like I think I'm enough. But what I want is for people to be the best that they can be, or whatever it is they want to be.
mm.
Or the happiest they can be because you can want to be like, I'm going to be the best at this. And you might not be, but is it bringing you joy? Is it bringing you is it putting good out into the world? Then do that. And so I've always tried to do that. I think Like at work, I tell people if I'm the smartest person in the room, we've got a problem. That there should always be people smarter than me there, and that the reason why I'm such a good, like people consider me like really effective or really this, and I keep saying it's not me. It's that I'm really good at hiring and developing people.
Mm.
And so I hire really good people and I develop them and then they make me look good, which
Well, you
is why
brought
I'm a really good burlesque producer too.
which we'll get to, I promise.
No,
But you open up an interesting philosophical question that is everyone truly a leader? And is that actually
so
possible
I
and
think
effective?
I think I think that you can lead from wherever you are. You don't need a title to do that.
Hmm.
Sometimes being a really good leader means being a really good follower. So there are
Hmm.
times in my life where the best leadership that I can do is to follow others,
Hmm.
and the same is true in reverse. Sometimes you do have to put yourself out there and step out there, and you can lead by example, you can lead by behaviors, you can lead. There's just so many ways.
Hmm. I suppose also what that would imply is that you would be leading others as not only by example, but as a follower, as you say.
Yeah,
And of course, we mean that in all the best ways possible,
I
but
do.
as a vessel to receive an understanding, and especially since we've talked about this off the pod about our individual passions for intersectionality as well as amplification and marginalization and finding, I don't know, it's obviously such a scary fucked up time in the world. We At the time of this recording, we're dealing with the civil unrest in Minnesota, obviously,
Yes.
um, which is getting all the press, but is not the only place where things are happening. We obviously have a great deal of complications with our political and governmental figures in all kinds of ways. So how do you motivate both yourself and presumably others that all of this is just not for naught? Like, how do you stay engaged and optimistic, frankly, that there is a path to lead into from all of this mishigas?
I think that is such a good question, Victor. I
It's an
think
easy
all
one
of
too. Answer it in
yeah,
4 or 5 seconds if you can. Yeah.
breezy. I got that. No, I think I think it's really important that we all remember that we're all going to have bad days right now. Um, and to give each other some grace for that, not to
Mhm.
suddenly be like, oh, Delightful is an absolute bitch. No, Delightful was having a bad day,
Mhm.
and we're all going to have them, and to try to honor that, but to also honor our own bad days. I know for myself, um, like even just last week, uh, I was like, I just woke up sad. I
Mhm.
woke up sad. And, when my partner got up, I was like, I have the sads today. I have them. I can't shake them. And this is who we are today. I think trying to pretend you're something else is really detrimental to your own mental health. And so I have the sads. I really do believe that joy is a form of resistance. I do. And I think if we can create joy that gives the drag queen Peppermint at New York Comic Con last year was leading a panel, and I was at the panel and I just loved it. But someone asked her that very question. And, like, why are you out here shaking your ass in the apocalypse? And I'm like, this is such a great question. And she said, because it brings me joy and it brings other people joy. And if you can access joy, you can access hope.
Mm.
And if you can access hope, then you can find it within you to do something, whatever that something is for you, whether you're out there leading a protest or a petition, or, I donate monthly to the ACLU, right? Like fight them in court, like whatever that is. Or you're on the internet and you're sharing information, like making people aware of what's going on. Something to shake those sads up so that you can wake up and do something.
Mhm.
That's what keeps me going. That's,
Mhm.
yeah.
it is interesting because uh I've said this before that a lot of burlesque performers and a lot of theatrically minded individuals and a lot of artists are, different shades of atypical in the crayon box.
Mm,
So a lot of us are coming from alternative perspectives already about self-identification or about how we react to things or how we see things or how we are seen. And a lot of it seems so silly or frivolous when we look at a larger picture of, like conflict in war zones or injustice at not just at oh, this person gave me a funny look, but like there are beheadings in the world. Like this is a terrifying, humanity is a terrifying beast. And the thing is that I am not a big picture kind of guy. I think creatively and psychologically, I am very much like, let's get through this one particular thing. The problem is that the neuro um atypicality throws some curveballs at me because then it's difficult for me to focus on just the one thing. I get five or seven, and I have to focus on the five or seven before I can get to, the next level. Um, as someone who is working with all those flavors also in academia, I would imagine there's not only just a lot of patience training and a lot of work that you do on your own, but that you have to encourage in other people because we're all, I'll say it flippantly, all fucked up in different ways.
yes,
But we're all fucked up in trying to help each other as
yes,
well. We're all trying to accomplish something, even if it's just a show, like even if it's quote
yes,
just a show, for an hour and a half for an audience, because we're trying to enjoy ourselves. We're trying to get, the bar money. We're trying to get the audience to feel something.
yes.
Um, as someone who is also a big fan of burlesque, what do you find you get as an audience member in this weird, fucked up, troublesome time when you're not behind the reins, when you're actually an observer and a receiver?
I get so much. I love burlesque. I really do. I One of my favorite things that Samsonite said last year was be a fan first.
Hmm.
And it was one of the first times that I felt validated about my fangirling that because I truly do that you are a recipient of it at one point. Like just I truly do. Like when I see someone that I have admired or love something that they did or they made me feel something, I fangirl all over the place about that. And I gush and I love it and I ask for selfies and I do all the things, right? And it really does bring me joy.
Hmm.
Um
You're a big documentarian like I am in that regard.
yeah.
Like I want a physical proof that it
Yeah,
existed.
this happened, right? Like picture it didn't happen. Like that is like something. Yeah. And I just I love it. But there are also like moments from there are moments from burlesque experiences that I've had that like live rent free in my head that will pop up when I'm like, oh, this is bleh, and like seeing Gigi Holiday at Beehoff last year. I
Gloves.
gloves,
Just gloves. Yeah.
just
For four
gloves,
minutes.
4 minutes of gloves, and I was riveted. And to this,
Oh yeah.
and almost, I mean, 9 months later, I'm still like,
I knew immediately you bet though. That's the thing
I
too, is
know,
that I've
right?
seen
Because
a dozen Gigi
wow,
Holiday acts and I knew immediately. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it just was wow, or um, I had met, Jezebel Thunder and Tito Benito. Um, I did Practice in Las Vegas, and Jezebel Thunder was my icon feedback giver,
Mm.
and Lovey Goldmine was my legend feedback. I have it framed in my Burley bathroom, their feedback to me. And then I saw Jezebel at a festival and went to one of her classes, but I also like literally ran into her and Tito getting off an elevator as I was in, and I did the and blah, and then can I take a photo? And then when I saw them at Beehoff, I didn't see them. I was walking to get coffee, and I heard behind me D, and I turned around and I looked, and it was Jezebel calling my name from down, and I in my head I'm like, this is not my life. Like she doesn't actually know who I am and is not actually calling me out. And like I get so much from that. And I
Mm.
also try to remember that, well, I am not as famous as Jezebel Thunder. There are still people who think I'm pretty cool. And so when I'm producing, when I'm performing, I'm always trying to give people those kind of moments too, so that they can have them. Because I know what impacts me and I try to share it with others.
Well, there's been a lot of discussion about competitions, and there always has been,
Yes,
there always will be. I mean, I can't imagine, honestly, how burlesque would function if we ourselves did not give ourselves the awards, because there is
agreed.
no, I mean, there's no outside source. And I mean to the point where we see, like, we even have like humanitarian awards, and the people who get
Hmm.
humanitarian awards, besides activists, are very often critters or
Hmm.
writers, or they're known in another field. Burlesque
Yes,
performers, this is it. We're
yes,
not we're not included in that. We're not in talk shows. We don't hit the circuit. We're not Dancing with the Stars isn't calling.
no.
Um, and what is your view as someone who I understand also believes in, the expression giving one's flowers or
Mhm.
acknowledgement? How complicated it is the idea of competition to you, particularly as it intersects with both your activism and your interest in creating facilitating leaders in this
Yeah.
industry. Do you think it's 100% useful?
I think that, like so many things in life, your burlesque journey is what you want it to be. And if you want to be a festival person, be a festival person. If you want to be a competition person, be a competition person. And if you want to be I want to perform and just perform and I don't want to be that. Like just I don't think I mean, the great thing about burlesque is we say burlesque is for everybody, but it really is for everybody and however you want to do it, as long as you're not hurting people, right? Like I'm, and everybody gives consent and everybody's happy you're not hurting people. Do what you want to do. I did my first competition last year, and it was more for to experience it, to see what it would feel like inside me to do this thing. And I actually learned a lot about myself, like getting ready for and participating in that competition. Um, and then at BurlyCon this past year, I also participated in peer review, which
Mm,
is, I think, scarier than competition, to be honest. And I learned a lot about myself from that experience. And so I think, I really think whatever drives you to be
mm.
the best that you want to be, then do that. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, peer review, it's funny you should say that, because obviously if we are giving our own crowns to each other, then typically peer review is just that on a micro level. But it does seem a little bit more personal, doesn't it? And it usually comes with feedback, which competition may or may not.
yes,
Sometimes the competition is a pass fail,
yes,
or a pass, a win,
yeah,
or a
yeah.
pass win,
Hmm.
um, where intrinsically we know we were all pretty good, but gotta give to somebody, but we didn't get, like the score sheets or something like that.
Hmm.
A peer review takes it takes an individual who's willing to receive, and not
Yeah,
necessarily someone who just wants the good points. But also, you
yeah.
can't beat yourself up either. You have to like actually want to
You have
go
to go
somewhere
into it
with it.
knowing like I want this act to be better,
Hmm.
and
And these people
I
I trust. will
And I
help
trust these
facilitate
people,
that.
and I'm at a stopping point in my ability, right? Like whatever, I don't know what, and the interesting thing about the one at BurlyCon is that your feedback from the three, icons is public. So everyone who's at BurlyCon hears
Right,
your
because they
feedback.
say it
Yeah.
out loud
They
to
say
everybody,
it.
right?
Yeah. And you sit in a chair just like, yeah. Um,
And in
but
theory,
again, I
less
learned so
pithy than something like Project Runway or Drag Race or Next Tech
no,
Model.
it's
In theory, is
incredible.
supposed to be more
It's so
direct.
good.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like the feedback is it's so thoughtful
Mm.
and it's so thoughtful and
Mm.
helpful. Yeah. And vomit inducing. Yeah. It's like it's all of those things. Yeah.
Did you walk away saying, okay, I know what I want to do next to this act?
I did. Absolutely. Yes.
I saw, so I was not at this past BurlyCon. I was at the
Hmm.
BurlyCon before then, and Obscura Fox, who's out of Seattle, the
Yep.
PNW area. I actually don't know precisely where they are located. Did appear the peer review
Hmm.
and did a very rough version of what I just saw this past Saturday at Burlesque. And it was so satisfying to be one of the very few people, frankly, in that room to know
How it had
that 2 years
evolved.
ago, yeah, and I saw it, like, to see the building blocks and the bones,
Yeah.
and while I wasn't on the panel, and I don't even know if I don't remember what my feedback was, because the audience is encouraged to write
Yes.
on index cards as well, and you can take or leave a lot of those as well. If you just get a note that says maybe it should be a Catherine Delish note, robe, maybe that's not the feedback really that you
Right.
need. Um, but something like could use more eye contact. Didn't
Yep.
know if this movement was reflective of this. I mean, it's hard to do that in like 5 seconds too, because
Yep. Could make it
it's a quick.
bigger. That's right.
Yeah,
Could make that
yeah.
move bigger.
And sometimes depending on the X, so my X personally, generally speaking, if you say, well, you didn't point your toe, that's okay. Then I didn't point my toe. I don't know what to tell
Yeah.
you. Um, my acts aren't about my pointed toes. I don't. And that sort of feels sometimes really self-important or self-indulgent to say, like, well, my acts are more important than that. But they're different pieces, they're different mediums.
Hmm.
And a lot of burlesque, if we're not just doing it for ourselves, if we're not just doing it for each other in the same industry, we're doing it for an audience where maybe that's not what they're focusing on either. I think but if it helps your storytelling or helps your movement, then by all means, point that toe. Um, Consider the footwear because that will improve your believability on stage. It also improve your authenticity. If you wear 8-inch heels because you think you're supposed to wear 8-inch heels, but the audience can see on your face, oh God, I'm wearing 8-inch heels the entire time.
Yes.
Then what are we doing?
I agree. And I think I love something that you just said about feedback is that that's what it is. It's feedback. And then
Mm,
you get to validate it for yourself. If you're like, no, that's a conscious choice and I'm keeping it, keep it.
hmm
And if not, I have a horrible habit of once I get to know my song really well, of accidentally lip syncing. So either stop it or
hmm
make it really
hmm
intentional and lip sync the whole thing.
Right.
But like those kinds of feedback of like, I don't even notice I'm doing it anymore. I just, yeah.
Yeah. Well, because you're marking it in your head.
Yes,
So
for real.
it became part of the choreography to
For
remind yourself.
real.
I
Yes.
used to call it back in the day. So I've been doing some form of burlesque for 20 years. And my co-director and I used to say, oh, she reads her lines off the ceiling.
Yeah.
And basically what that just meant is like while they're stripping, they're looking up,
Mm,
thinking in their head, okay, what's the next part? Let me listen
yes.
really closely. And sometimes that's because they're not in the moment, they're not fully engaged, but now it's burned. Now that's how the disc is burned. That's how
Yeah.
they think that goes. And I'm like, oh, No, no, no. Come on. Look back at us. Look back at us. You
Yes.
can look past us. I look
Yeah.
past audience members all the time because sometimes there's a fourth wall.
Hmm.
And burlesque with a fourth wall is really interesting at times because it's both a protective thing as well as it sometimes can get in the way of actually engaging with an audience. Like you have to like when you think of like a Shakespearean soliloquy, I know we talk about breaking the fourth wall in that guard because they address the audience, but are they actually addressing the audience? Or are they actually just facing the audience and saying these things in spite of them or
Hmm.
regardless of them? And I think that that's quite true even in other fields of soliloquy, which or monologue or
Hmm.
burlesque solo. Are we really doing it to an audience or do they just happen to be there? And it depends on the act.
I think it
Do
really
you,
depends on the act. Yeah.
Hey, this is Viktor Devonne. I know it's difficult to strategize how to spend money and where that money should be going, and I thank the folks who have found some way to support financially this podcast. Massive love to the people on patreon.com/WeBurlesque. Thank you very much to Courtney Jones, Dottie Rebel, Charlotte Strudel, Paris Stilton, Luna Delay, Goosey Gander, Roxy Reverie, Faye Havoc, Tiffany Lane, Madam E, iRed, Shimmy LaRue, Curly Bright, Oliver Swisky, Sebastian Crane, Alex Collode, Bo Bridges, and Stormageddon. Love you very, 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 very much. If you would like to support the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/WeBurlesque, and I promise you those dollar bills go to servers, to advertising, to actual real costs, including WordPress, GoDaddy, and people who need my money. So thank you very, very much for help supporting the podcast, and thank you for amplifying the voices of those upon it. Love you very much.
Yeah.
What is your act development like? Before we get to the production side, which we're about to, how about you as an individual? What is your process?
I wish I could tell you that I'm like, this is my process. It does not happen that way for me. Usually I either one, I hear a song and I'm like, I must do something to that song. And then I start working from there. Sometimes I fall in love with a costume piece and I'm like, well, this needs to be something.
Mm,
And I start looking for a song or looking for a why. Oh, like why? If I don't have a why, I'm not my burlesque has to have a story to me at least, or it doesn't work for me. So, like I think part of that is because I do not have a dance background at all. So, showing up on stage and doing this beautiful dance number with reveals and a gorgeous costume is probably never going to be me.
hmm,
Um, However, I so love it when other people do it. I really do. But it's probably not going to be me. So my burlesque so I have to have a reason why I'm doing this act. What story am I telling? What message is there? It doesn't have to be a heavy message. It could be. But like, like why? And once I figured that out, then I get excited.
mhm,
And choreography for me is almost always last.
mhm.
And
Well, that can
yeah,
be informed by the wardrobe too, because
could
then you
be.
have to start taking things off in a
Yep.
strategic way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my process. Something inspires me and then I must make it happen. I must put it on the stage and whatever that is, and then I start working around it. So, like I'm working on an act right now which it's an upgrade to like a books act. I love to read. I love to read. But right now, because gestures at the world, I'm reading a lot of like fairy smut books, right? Just so much escapism.
Okay.
Uh, and so I'm like, I must now upgrade my books act to reflect this. Like weave in some spoken word from the audio books of some of these like memorable moments that every smut girly knows, and So like now my costume needs an upgrade because now it has to be way cooler than the one that it was before. And so now I'm working on that. And that's what happens. Like something happens, I'm like, well, now this thing that I did before. Also, it's been about 6 years for me. So it's feeling to me like a lot of the acts I did at the very beginning are either retiring or they need upgrades because of who I am as a performer now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm kind of in that place where everything needs a little bit more just
Mm-hmm.
because of I'm a little bit more now. So
Yeah, well, you in potential, you're moving along on a I don't know, on a ladder of success. I mean, aren't we
yeah,
all just sort of are where our opportunities are growing, our audiences are changing, and you never half-ass it, but the
no,
more you learn about yourself, your standards change too. And you're like, you know
agreed.
what, these gloves are fine, but I think I deserve better gloves.
But I deserve better gloves. Yeah. And, I'm becoming really known for breaking the fourth wall, like you mentioned. It's like
Mhm.
almost all of my acts break the fourth wall in some way. Um, and I love that about me. And I think that's why I tell people all the time, like when I'm booked, like I'm probably not going to be the best burlesque performer you have there, but I will probably be the one having the most fun and inviting the audience into that fun with me,
Yeah,
which makes me popular, right? So,
I get it. I mean, also, I think depending on, again, your crayon of neurotypicality,
mhm.
mine often manifests in I wouldn't say necessarily self-doubt, but at least some sense of self-downplaying. Like it's
Mhm.
interesting to have both a Napoleon complex and yet think you're shit. It's an interesting blend. It's an interesting blend. And to think that you know what, I think not, and I don't think I'm shit, nor do I think I have a Napoleon complex per se. I'm being hyperbolic, obviously, but I think that my my struggle is my self-worth when it comes sometimes, and I'm better at it nowadays. But when I first, when I hit that middle ground, not when I first started, but when I hit that middle ground, is my colleagues and being as good as them, being perceived as good as them,
Yeah.
because I think they're just a bit of terrific a lot of the time. Uh, you and I had talked about this off the pod when we roomed together
Yes.
in Ohio, about being friends with our colleagues and also being enamored and fascinated and just dazzled by people
Yes.
that we get to call our friends and folks that we book or folks that we
Yes.
get to hang out with. Like it's like y'all are really good. I want to be as good as that, or I want to be my version of as good as that. And very often, for self-reflection purposes, I think we have to be like, oh, we're in the same show.
Mm-hmm.
Someone must think that we are at least as good as, or complimentary, or capable of being complimentary as that other person who's really, 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 really good.
Yes.
So maybe I don't have to be so hard on myself this time because guess what? I'm also doing that. Um, and I guess depending on what you want out of that kind of relationship with your colleagues, or how much you feel that a show is made up of the moving parts of a show, because we're all individualists, we're all soloists that are all coming together.
Yep.
Hopefully we're all nice backstage, or we're all cooperating, but we're all coming from all very different perspectives and different areas, and we don't have the same script. We're not reading off the same lines. We're
Mm-hmm.
not scene partners, but we're cohabitating for this
Yes.
brief amount of time. And to do that with people that are we continue to be fans of, I think is very
Mhm.
healthy. I think that is actually really useful for us. Um, Knowing also that the audience, well, they already like us.
Yeah. Right. So I really agree with you, Victor. And I think having friends like that, but also acting as a mentor yourself, right?
Hmm.
So that you have people at all levels around you, one keeps you grounded, and two elevates you, right? So if I'm friends with someone like you or someone like Bella, then I'm continually inspired and continually wanting to up my game. I know there was a while there a couple years ago, and my style was changing because of what I thought I was supposed to be watching these
Mm,
people who I'm a big fan of, or who I think are better than me, or like the amazing people.
mm.
And it was detrimental to me because, and then I got some feedback like, are you tired? Are you this? And no, it's that I was not inspired because I wasn't authentically being myself on stage. I was imitating other people on stage, which I think a lot of new burlesque performers do. Like it's just kind of a thing, right? Because you haven't
Sure.
been on stage long enough to know who you are, who you're going to be. And it's that feedback from someone was, I was like, oh, and I thought about it and thought about it. It's like, know what the problem is? I'm not performing in a way that I love, that brings me joy. Therefore, I can't translate that to other people. And so I stopped. And I went back to, because I was like, oh, to be in a festival, I got to start performing like this and like this and like this. And I was like, yeah, or I don't. Like, or I don't. And I decided don't was okay with me.
Well, you're also your body can only do what your body can do. And
Exactly.
we can work on the flexibility of it. You can work on some of the things that you didn't necessarily work on. But as you pointed out when we first started talking, you didn't start burlesque until you were what, 50?
50.
So you're already looking at things from a different psychological perspective as well.
Yeah.
Um, a a nuanced perspective, hopefully, as a 50-year-old than say a 22-year-old.
Yes.
Um, and your life experiences are going to be informing that as well. So how do you reconcile hanging out with a bunch of kids
So true.
and also the and keeping that into check? Because I have to say every once in a while we're kind of bitchy as burlesquers when it comes to the youth. Whenever particularly what we do love to do now is when somebody talks about how old a song is and we're like, that was a song that was popular in high school, how dare you. But it's like, time marches on, and you're working with folks who are younger than you, and then also what they're capable of doing either with their flexibility or their body type or what have you. um what did you learn about yourself as a fully formed human being in a new field like burlesque with a bunch of, youth obsessed gummy people?
Yes, they are. They actually are. They still have cartilage in their knees. Which I don't. Um, I don't know that I've ever really thought about it. I really feel like when I showed up to burlesque, I just showed up like I belong here, like you belong here. Here's the other thing. If we discourage younger folks from getting into burlesque, then
We
what happens
die.
to burlesque, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to embrace um, new folks into burlesque, no matter what they are,
Hmm.
young, old, fat, thin, queer, like everything,
Hmm.
and to really nurture that with each other. I mean, do I see people, jumping into the air and landing on their knees and think, oh, that was so dramatic and so cool, and that's not happening over here. Um, that's
They may regret that.
right. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's cool. I'll be over here. But I love it. I really do like I don't just say burlesque is for everybody. I really like I believe that in my soul. And I think people who don't believe that should GTFO. I really
Mm,
do. And so I guess some of those things I didn't really think about, but also like just let's be clear, I married someone who's 15 years younger than me anyway.
hmm.
Um, when I was like I don't know, 49, I think I was
Okay.
49 when we got married. And so I already had like it's just I don't know,
That's
I
a
think I
fully
live
formed human
young,
being too.
right? I think I just
It's
live
not like you were
young.
you were robbing the cradle or anything like
No,
that.
we were much older, definitely way
Different,
older,
yeah,
but
different pivotal life experiences,
yeah, I
certainly.
just,
Yeah.
my mom had early onset Alzheimer's, and she got it when she was 62,
Mm,
and it can be genetic, unlike, older onset Alzheimer's, and it just fundamentally shifted how I lived my life. It really
mm,
did. Like, I got rid of I call it Marie Kondoing my life. I just like,
hmm.
does this bring me joy? It's out of here. Does this person bring me joy? They're gone. I just like, um, which is how I ended up divorced, and then thinking I was never gonna get
You Marie
remarried.
Kondoed that.
I did. No, I really did. And I like all of these things, and I just thought life is truly short. I mean, like people say life is short, like it's the thing. Life is short. Life can be truly short.
Yeah.
Um, and I didn't want to die or get Alzheimer's with regrets. So I made a list of like, I called it the last 40 days of my 40s. And so it was like for the last 40 days, I'd be in my 40s before I turned 50, of 40 things that I'd always wanted to do that I had never done. And I just started crossing things off the list. I had never
Mm.
danced on a bar. I danced on a bar. I wanted my nose pierced. I pierced my nose. Like I did like all these things that I didn't think I'd do. And one of them was taking a belly dance class, like doing and actually performing in public. And where I was taking classes, offered like an 8 week or 6 week like burlesque class. And I had loved burlesque. I've been to whiskey tango shows many times. Um, and I was like, well, I'll take that. That'll be fun. And like it felt like a safe space community for me. And at the first class, which was taught by a whiskey tango person, Danielle St. Velvet,
Okay.
um,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
she was like, okay, so your graduation is this group number will open the Whiskey Tango show at the Haunt in January. Um, and I was like, the fuck it will. Like, I went home and I told my husband, I was like, pretty sure I'm not going back next week. Like, but I kept going back and I kept going back um and it got time to perform, and I showed up for the performance, and I like love at first sight. I don't know if it happens for humans, but it sure did for me in burlesque. Like I just when I was done, my husband looked at me and he was like, he's like, I know that you love your belly dance friends. I know you love them. He's like, but I've never seen you light up the way I saw you light up on that stage tonight. And like, if any part of you wants to keep doing this, like maybe think about it. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'm going to do this. And I signed up to
Hmm.
be a bourbon babe for Whiskey Tango. And that was January of 2020. And so 2 months later, um,
Yeah.
but I kept learning online. I kept doing, I started, I think it was actually beneficial because then I spent like a whole chunk of time learning my burlesque history and taking classes and reading books and watching old movies and like doing all this stuff.
Hmm.
So when I was ready to get back on stage, I had at least created some like at least depth of I knew what burlesque was. Yeah.
Right. Well, because you said as a theater kid, as a theater person, as somebody
Yeah.
who's really interested, you were a fan first. Was
Yes.
that time in January 2020 really the first time you had gotten on stage as a in a theatrical fashion?
No, no, I was
Okay.
on stage for theater, but the first time
Okay.
I'd ever got on stage and took my clothes off. Yeah.
Okay. What was the theatrical element? Were these straight plays? Were these musicals? What was
Straight plays
the
and musicals, mostly musicals.
okay? Was that something that you did in like community theater in high school? What was
Both community
okay?
theater and high school. Yeah.
What drew you to that in general? Was that something that was influenced by your parentals? Did you just how did you learn about theater?
No. I just I
That was a very weighted no.
no, no. Um, my family often says they don't know where I came from. They just um,
Left in a
but
basket.
I know, right?
Mhm.
Because my family doesn't read, my family doesn't theater, my family, um, my family doesn't liberal, like all those things. Yeah. So, but I mean, I started getting into theater in middle school. Um, and I don't even remember why. And I just loved it, like loved it, loved the outlet, loved, and mostly I loved the humans that did it with me and
Mm.
the community that's created, uh, like so much. I loved it. And
Did you experience Broadway as a New
oh
Yorker?
yeah, yes. I mean, luckily for me, because I grew up here in central New York, and people are like, "Oh, you live in New York." I'm like, "No, I need you to think cows, not
Yeah,
tall buildings." And so, but I had this really cool Spanish
cows,
teacher,
not
and
tall buildings.
right, cows, not tall buildings. Um, but a very cool Spanish teacher in high school, and she and the French teacher would get together and do like a weekend in New York City, and it would
Mm,
be language based, but then also um like group discount, we'd see a Broadway show. It was my first Broadway show was a chorus line.
okay.
And
What year was
and
this?
oh my God, it had to be, so I graduated in 1987. So somewhere between 84 and 87.
Okay.
Yeah. 84, 85. Yeah, somewhere between 84 and
It's a
87.
very meta musical to first experience.
It is. Yeah. But yeah, that was my first musical, like Broadway musical.
Mm,
And the shows that my high school would pick to do would be like Oklahoma,
sure.
Guys and Dolls,
Yeah.
like, and so
Which are subversive in their own ways.
they truly are. Um,
I mean, Kiss Me Kate is just one big sex joke.
it really is. Every year I'd be like, let's do Pippin. They would like, go away, Deborah. Like, um, but to this day, the song from Guys and Dolls, like Adelaide sings,
Hmm.
where and a person could develop a cough. Like when you have
Hmm.
toxic people around you, you could get physically ill. And so I sing that to myself still to this day when I'm like, oh, I got toxic people and I'm gonna get a cough. Like it just but yeah, so that was like my first time getting to go to New York City and see the city and go to museums and
Hmm.
realize like immediately that I had a deep love for art museums and art. And I fell in love with Broadway. And once I got old enough, I would take myself whenever I could. And then whenever I'd go, like a lot of training used to be in New York City when I first started working as well. And so anytime there was like a New York City training, like every day I out of training directly to TKTS to see what show I could see tonight for whatever dollars. And
Yeah.
I remember my mother being like, "What are you gonna do alone in New York City?" And I'm like, "What am I not gonna do?" Like, yeah.
Yeah. I do miss my proximity to Broadway as now I am
Hmm.
a Southern Californian. But I have to say it was always something that was a financial drain. Oh, God, what was the last show I saw? It may have been it may have been Spring Awakening in the original run. Before they brought it back for the ASL version. God, that's forever ago.
Yeah, I
I have
just
to say,
went down.
er,
I just
my proximity to theater still exists here in Southern
Mhm, mhm.
California. We still have LA and everything, but everything's so fucking expensive. It's
Yeah.
really hard. It's really hard to be like, all right, let's like what was I looking at? I was looking at Phantom tickets because Phantom was
Oh.
coming, and I've actually never seen Phantom.
Oh,
Not live, not live. Um,
seen it three
I
times.
enjoy I enjoy the show. I enjoy the show.
Mhm.
But I was like, oh, it's coming here. Let's see. I'm like, oh my God, I can't like $500 for like mezzanine.
Exactly.
It's like utterly bonkers.
Utterly bonkers.
Utterly bonkers.
Yeah, we just went down and saw John Leguizamo's The Other Americans play.
Hmm.
It's off Broadway. It was so good. So good. But I want to see Six really bad.
Mm. I've heard good things.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. I know I mean I know the
Yeah.
vague premise of the show, but I don't know any of the music or any of the plot, frankly,
Yeah.
other than just the fact that they're all the wives, right?
They're all the wives. Yes. We'll see.
Hi, I'm Jen Ponton,
And I'm Lillian Bustle,
and we're the hosts of All the Fucks.
a podcast about vulnerability.
But it's more than just that. It's nostalgia.
It's unrequited crushes.
It's the mortifying moments that make you want to crawl back inside your own belly button.
Ooh, and somehow it's sometimes about pelicans.
A pelican allegory, if you will.
Oh, I will.
So if your heart has ever felt like a skinned knee,
Oh, you'll fit right in as one of our fuck buddies.
All the Fucks. A storytelling podcast wherever you listen.
Tonight on Murder, She Wrote.
Hooray!
Hey.
Yeah.
It's kind of Piper Laurie and Brenda Vaccaro at A Love Child.
Thank goodness.
I want to know
These
her.
nails. Yeah, where's her series? That's what
She's
I want.
fabulous.
The son is Joaquin Phoenix.
I know, isn't that nuts? And he is an ugly little kid. I'm sorry.
We're just like, hey, remember when this guy was in this obscure Broadway show in 1976?
Right? Look at him in those tight pants. Yum.
Well, because there's not
But
a
we
lot
do
really
get-
going on. It's
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're listening to the dialogue, which frankly, audience at home, you can do without us. We're just
Yeah, do
learning
your own
about
work,
some of these
damn it.
backstory. But
Right.
Boswell put her up to it.
Yeah.
And then Trish had to be killed because she realized that Boswell didn't have her interests at heart because Teddy was the inheritor.
Yeah.
Playing her like a fiddle.
Oswell knew it, and Trish just gulped it down like one of those martinis.
And then tossed it onto the lawn.
And then lost her head. Poor Trish.
Trish loses her head. This is Viktor Devonne.
And this is Petra Fried
And this is Tonight.
on Murder, She Wrote.
Let's talk a bit about your production company. Walk us through the buffet.
Oh my goodness, Burlesque Buffet. Burlesque Buffet was an accident waiting to happen. So my whole story on how I got started in burlesque, and then I went solo, and but like my start wasn't great. There was a mentor producer who was really freaking mean to me. And so I stopped that, and I thought I was just going to quit entirely. And after a couple weeks of crying, I was like, nope, now I'm mad. I'm a Scorpio. So now I'm a mad Scorpio, which means vindictive as hell. Yes.
Sure.
So I was like,
But you
not
also
only,
had the wherewithal as a 50-year-old, already
Yes.
going through life,
yes,
going through your masters, all that
Yeah.
jazz,
done.
just to put this into perspective.
Yes.
Can you imagine the ingenue
No,
22-year-old who's like devastated
I would never
and
want
goes
that for
through years of
anyone.
that? Yeah.
I was devastated as a 50-year-old. So no, I would never want that for anyone, to be perfectly honest with you. And
Sure.
I actually take mentoring and educating others really seriously, like with such love in my heart. So anyway, I did my first solo, and a friend saw that online and said, would you like to do burlesque in this fringe festival? We're having our first ever fringe festival in Oneonta, New York. And I was like, oh, I'd love to. So I filled out the application. And so I thought they were asking me to do a burlesque number in this fringe festival. And what I got back from them was they wanted me to put together a burlesque show for this fringe festival. So keep in mind, I've had a pandemic. I've been doing burlesque like 3 years at this point, 2.5, 3 years, and I've done one solo. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, I can't do that. However, my husband, my partner, my Burlesque Buffet co-producer, had been an event coordinator, for like a decade. And he was like, I don't know, I think you could probably do this. You have all the life skills for it, right? Like you're a certified project manager, you're this, you're that, and da da da. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And so I called the show Burlesque Buffet because I'm not a huge fan of theme shows. Some I absolutely love, and I'm like, that's so cool. But when it gets really niche and they want new acts for everything, I'm like, somebody else do that, not me. But so I just wanted it to be a buffet of burlesque, and whatever your style is, come do it. And
Pick your own
pick
plate.
your thing, come do this
Yeah.
show. And so we did. And I actually put together this, quite frankly, like tooting my amazing show.
Okay.
And so, and that was kind of it. And I was like, okay. And then I'm like trying to build my own career, right? Like, da da da. And then in like, I don't know, December of that, a few months later, Funk and Waffles here in Syracuse, New York, which is kind of famous because it's been on diners, drive-ins, and dives several times. But there, half of it's the waffle place, and half of it is the funk place with a stage and everything. And my partner was friends with them and said, hey, how come you've never had burlesque at Funk and Waffles? And the next thing I know, I'm producing another show, but they're calling my production thing Burlesque Buffet. And I'm like, that's not the name. That was the name of a show. I lost the battle. Sometimes people choose for you and you're like, but that's not it. But it is it. And so Burlesque Buffet became my production thing. I think I produced 4 shows that first year. And then produced
What
like
was the name
8.
supposed to be? What did you think it was going to be?
I never even thought about it because
Well, then it doesn't matter.
Gonna be a producer. And so that's how I started producing. It was completely by accident.
Sure.
And then the following year, I don't know, I think I did 8 shows maybe, but one of them was like a huge show that Bellison came and headlined, at the Palace Theater. And that was such an accomplishment for me. It was also exhausting. Like folks who produce shows like that all the time, or festival producers, I just yeah. Whew. So yeah, it's great. And that's how I started producing. And then just like producing started evolving for me to more reflect who I am. So not just how I had seen shows be done or participated in and how they produced it, but like what has meaning for me? What am I trying, like why come to a Burlesque Buffet show, right? I started tracking other producers, tracking like 22 producers around, from Buffalo to Albany, just, in upstate New York. And I'm sure there's some I don't know about. So, but
They
I'm
pop
like, why
every
come,
day.
right?
That's the
Like
other thing is it is a living medium. Keeps changing.
Whew. But like, why come to one of my shows? And then I just decided to like start putting who we are out there. So, we have a whole thing on like, if you're not going to help us create this space that is queer, that is BIPOC, that is no body shaming, no, like age, all different abilities and disabilities, like everything on the stage, then you don't belong here. If you aren't going to be, like you said, collaborative and kind backstage, you're not going to perform with us. There are some incredible performers around here who have never been in a Burlesque Buffet show, And unless they get some attitude adjust, they never will, because you're not going to be here if you're going to be mean to other folks. And so we started becoming known for that. Like performers are like, we want to be in your show. Like they're like, just for the green room vibes. We want to be in your show. We want to be in your show for the green, which to me is like the biggest compliment. Like that is
Yeah.
right. Like, and then I kept thinking like, but I'm an audience member. Why am I coming to this show? How do we like, not just our venues, we're already working, right? Like you said, bar sales and this and that and waffle sales and like whatever the thing might be. So now why do the audience members come to the show, and making sure that our audience reflects who's on the stage, so being really clear about what we stand for. And I started doing a land acknowledgement. My partner is Indigenous, right? And so I
Okay.
felt it was really important that we started doing a land acknowledgement. But I ran that by some Native American performers in my area to see how they felt about it. And they were like, that's a really nice land acknowledgement, but what's your call to action? I was like, what are you talking about? And they was like, well, if there's no call to action, then it's just performative and we'd rather you didn't do it. I was like, oh,
Mhm.
my heart. And so we decided that our raffle dollars, that half of them would go to Indigenous organizations in our area as a call to action from our shows.
Mhm.
And that was the first thing. Then we started putting together a community resources table for our audience. Everything on the table is free. And it could be immigration red cards, it could be safer sex supplies, it could be period pantry, it could be, mental health sticker, like whatever, all these things. We keep Narcan for free at our shows,
Hmm.
and fentanyl test strips and xylazine test strip, like all these things. Um, and we keep just especially we kept getting more and more radical with it after the last election. In what ways can
Sure.
we put good out into the world? And so that's what we do.
Yeah.
That was a really long answer to your question. But
No,
I would say
please.
my
Yeah.
producing evolved just like my performing. So my producing reflects who I am and what I believe, just like my performing does.
Well, it also it's such a production is such a complicated task
Oh,
because it has to be fulfilling in a lot of different ways, not the least of which is to say, look at all these cool people that are on my stage. Because it is also dealing with a lot of personalities, a lot of the administration, a lot of the emails. I don't know if I mean, you sound like a highly organized person. Do you just live in Excel and Google Forms? Like,
I do. I do live in Excel and Google Forms. So I didn't live in Excel until so Bellison was my mentor last year for about 6 months, and they told me that I needed a show template Excel, and I was like, I really don't need that. I only did like 4 shows, and they're like, make your damn template. And so
mm,
I did, and if there's anything that I like, holy, so glad I listened. So that's my other advice to my, well, not some advice to folks, like get yourself a good mentor sometimes.
mm. What are some of the qualities that you would recommend that are what are the opposite of red flags? Not white flags, that's surrender.
Green
Green
flags,
flags. There we go.
green flags and what?
In mentorship that you
In
say, oh, you know
mentorship.
what? This is somebody that I should align with. What do you think are somebody that a newcomer or someone who's, been burned before
Yeah.
and says, you know what, I'm not living in the cycle of, you know, uh this isn't that this isn't MGM in the 50s. I don't need to
Yes.
be told that I'm not this or not that. What do you look for, or would you recommend somebody find in a
I,
mentor?
well, first you have to
It's not a
know what
yes man
you,
only.
yes, you need to know what you want to be mentored in. I specifically wanted to be mentored in producing at that time, which is
Mhm.
not to say it didn't evolve, because Bella, I say made me. They didn't make me do anything. They strongly encouraged me. Also made me work on some costuming by the time, because producing went way faster because I actually do my homework. So,
Hmm.
so a couple of things, doing things about yourself. Are you ready to have a mentor? Are you ready to do the homework? Because it's going to be extra work on top of what you're already doing. But someone that, so know what you want, because then you want to look for someone who's good at that. So
Hmm.
maybe not your favorite burlesque performer, right? Because if maybe they're not a producer, and that's what I wanted.
Well,
Right? I
yeah, and
also,
they might be very busy too. You also should be considerate of other
that,
people's time.
right? And the other thing for me is recognizing my own style. So, Bella, that they are direct with their
Mhm.
feedback, and I need that and appreciate
Mm.
that and like that. That is my style. If that's not your style, look for someone who more closely matches your style. I think that's a green flag.
Mm.
But you really want a mentor who's going to challenge you. Um, I If you're just looking for validation, you don't need a mentor. Like, um, not to say
Mhm.
that mentors shouldn't validate you because they do, but
But that's
you
not all they're doing. Yeah.
know they need to challenge you and just be like, here's your homework, do these things, or think about this, or yeah, whatever it might be. Yeah.
Mm. Do you find that you're a mentor for others?
I am actually a mentor for others. Um, I've I tend to scoop up burly babies sometimes,
Hmm.
who I see talent in or something, a spark in,
Hmm.
um, who might be struggling to figure out how to get going. And I don't gatekeep anything. So I will share with them everything that I did to get started. I actually did a virtual class a couple of years ago for BurlyCon before I actually got to teach BurlyCon in person, which was
Hmm.
one of the highlights of my last year, was getting to teach there and attend. But and it was all about like burly backstage stuff. But my my hook is that I haven't been doing it for 20 years. I've only
Hmm.
been doing it for 2 or whatever it was.
Hmm.
And so it's so fresh in my mind what I had to do. And I remember like viscerally what it feels like to be doing those things. And I also recognize that like I really got successful really fast, honestly. Like, some burlesque folks won't talk to you until you've been performing for 5 years. Well, how am I supposed to perform for 5 years if you won't talk to me? Like, all of these
There's that.
things, right?
Yeah.
And so, and they're like, well, go do open stages. And then 5 seconds later, stop doing open stages. You need to get paid for what you do. Like, you know what? I can't do both things. So, Elaine. Um, so I'll see them and I'll like have them over and I will feed them and I will just tell them everything that I know. And if they do stuff with it, they do. And if they don't, they don't. But and then I've had people reach out to me online and ask if they can meet with me for an hour. They've got questions or whatever. And I always try to do that whenever I can. I
Hmm.
just think sometimes you have to shoot your shot. And if people are doing that with me, I try to, if I have the time, try to recognize that and do that. So, like, no matter what it is. Yeah.
How do you take time for yourself as well to give yourself, a full cup to then pour from?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Well, I went to you because you have the masters.
I do. Yeah, that's right.
See,
No, I think
now everyone expects that you actually are an
I
authority on
have
it. So
the
now,
answer. No, I just think there are a lot of things that bring me joy. Like I said, I read a lot. Um, and I use reading as escapism when I need to. And so I do that. Um, so reading helps me. I read as much as I can. I am a grandma, so I will arrange some time with my grandsons, which one will bring me joy and immediately ground me because,
mm,
you know, grandsons have no filters. And if I'm feeling too full of myself or whatever, they'll make sure I don't by the time we're done. Yeah.
hmm.
So I do that.
Do you have other interests besides the stage that you manifest? Do you still read like vigilantly and
Vigilantly, I read like a lot, a lot, a lot. I have a book bestie, and so we read and check in with each other, all virtual, and currently obsessed with the show Heated Rivalry and have
Oh,
watched it way too many times. Um, and I'm gonna go to my first rave so that I can go to a Heated Rivalry rave. Uh, yep. And so
okay. What
I'm
does that
always,
mean? What is a heated rivalry
oh
rave?
my gosh,
Is
so
that a
we get
hockey
together,
thing?
a whole bunch of people get together in a club. And
Uh-huh.
I'm not really a club person. I don't like being surrounded by that many people. That's one of my things. I was like, there's a lot of people here, and I'm at my heart a serious introvert. And
Uh,
so I can people for a duration of time, and then I'm done with you humans, and I must go read a book. Anyway, a whole bunch of humans, you get to a club, and they play like the songs from Heated Rivalry, but there's all these fan edits from Threads, which is now just the Heated Rivalry app. And
uh-huh.
so they play those on the video screen, and everybody jumps up and down and screams. Yeah, it's a whole thing. But I'm always, honestly, always looking for something I haven't done before, a new experience, something that's gonna just keep me stimulated in like a healthy
Hmm.
way. I'm a foodie, so I'll be like, I heard that there's a 3 pound taco in New Jersey. Get in the car. I'm like, just
We're going. We're
we're
going now.
going. We gotta see this 3 pound taco. Yeah. So but like things like that spark my interest that I love to travel. Um,
Oh, excuse me. Oh, sneeze as I sneeze. Um, what does 2026 look like for you?
Burlesque 2026.
Anything, whatever.
Yeah, so 2026,
That's the thing also is that they all inform each other, don't they?
they do. Yeah. So I'm actually reclaiming a bit of my time in 2026. I overdid 2025 in a big
Mm,
way. So I'm actually pulling back from the number of shows that I do right now. Um, Still performing, still producing, focusing a lot on our um like corporate sponsored shows as opposed to the constant need to be marketing and hoping people show up. I just need a little break from that.
mhm.
Super excited that we just got certified as an age-friendly business here in Tompkins County where I live. And that one of the organizations for older adults here in town has hired us to do a burlesque show just for a bunch of senior citizens. Could not
Mm,
be more tickled about doing that. And Atlantic City, New Jersey has hired us to do a couple of shows this year that I'm really excited about as well. Personally, I'll be at OBF this year. Very excited
mhm.
about that. And um, I am getting to do this podcast, which has been a dream for a while. So 2026
Oh,
is already doing great. And I actually got asked to, this isn't out there. So this is like a WeBurlesque podcast exclusive.
exclusive.
I
Hmm.
was asked to be Danny Diesel. Um, I believe you met her at OBF. She was the headliner, Danielle Colby,
Hmm.
Danny Diesel. She asked me to be in a show with her and Honeybee Rose in Buffalo in June. And I
Fantastic.
am so when you were saying like think about like I'm in the same show as these people. I'm on the
Hmm.
bill with these people. That's immediately what I came to my head. Is like there's no way I'm on that playbill with those people, but I am. So those are some really I'm going to apply to go to teach at BurlyCon again because that really fed my soul this past year. It
Hmm.
really did. Those are things I'm looking forward to, but also in reclaiming my time. I haven't been able to wander off to look for 3 pound, tacos in New Jersey a lot. Last year I was really busy, like almost every single weekend, and um,
Sorry, my cat just knocked over a bunch of shit.
I love that.
I'm gonna leave that in just so everyone knows exactly what I'm dealing with here. Oh my God.
Love that. Yeah,
Ah,
so some more grandson time, some more like bopping about time, some more Broadway shows. And yeah, that's really what I want to do more of this year.
Excellent. Well, I see it for you. I look forward to at least um the likelihood that we will trot a board or two together. Um Share more backstage time. You are a lovely roommate. I thank you
As are
for being
you.
so. Yeah. Um
Seriously, if anyone needs a good roommate, I 10 out of 10 recommend Victor. Super easy with the food stuff, not messy, just wonderful.
Very chatty though. So
And which is a plus, also in the plus column.
good, good, good.
Tells the best story.
Yeah. Yeah. Good times. Well, I look forward to seeing what the rest of the year shapes up as as of the time of that we're recording this, we're minutes away from February, so
We are.
we're already 1/12 through this year. Which could be you know, sometimes going through years quickly is a good thing.
Hmm.
Let's keep moving. Let's keep our forward momentum. Um, but I hope that you continue to thrive, however that manifests, and that you keep knocking them dead over there in the central New York and beyond. I don't find myself there a lot, but I'll go. I'll go. I'll
Okay.
go right now. I'll go right now.
No, do not come now. It's like 23, feels like 4 today. You don't want
Oh
to come
no,
here.
no,
Yeah.
no, I decline. Can you tell the folks who are listening the ways that they can keep in touch with all of your goings on?
Sure. If you go to delightfulburlesque.com, you'll have links to all my socials and everything that I'm doing. If that doesn't float your boat, go to burlesquebuffet.com and find out what we're doing there.
Spectacular. And that's delightful with two L's.
Yes, because I'm full-sized.
That full. Excellent, excellent.
Delightful. Yes.
Well, thank you so much. It's been I have a great love and respect for those who provide stages to others. So thank you for doing the work. I know that sometimes it may feel um undervalued, underappreciated, or sometimes unforgiving. But it is a necessary situation as we continue in this hellscape, you know.
Yes.
If the world's gonna burn, we might as well do it on stage, you know. We might as well keep going. So let's keep dancing, as they
Let's keep
say.
dancing.
All right, darling, be well. Mwah. Thank you for being a part of this, and
Thank you for
see you
having
around.
me. Okay.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening. That's it.
Yay.
Hooray. I think my camera is frozen at the moment, but I think everything
Okay.
is recording. Am I still moving on your side of
You're still
things?
moving on mine. You
Oh,
look great.
cool. There I
And you're
am.
cute as a bug today. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is the offstage moment. All right, cool. Then I will tag you in the things. This is actually the next episode, so you'll see this
Thank
on
you so
Monday.
much. Really, it has been a dream of mine, Victor. So thank you
Oh,
very much.
my pleasure. If you have a specific graphic that you want to use for the promo image, you can email it to WeBurlesque.
Okay.
Just make sure it's in color and it's of a decent size.
Okay. Will
All
do.
right. All
Yes.
right. Well, thank you so
Okay.
much.
All right.
Have a good rest of your evening.
You too.
And give my my hello and affection to your partner.
I will. Thank you.
WeBurlesque the podcast, created, developed, and edited by Viktor Devonne. Podcast artwork by Logan Laveau. WeBurlesque the podcast cover art photography by Atticus Stevenson. Theme song, On a 45 by This Way to the Egress, used with permission. All incidental music via Pixabay under the expectation of fair use. Please visit WeBurlesquePodcast.com for notes on this and every other episode. Follow WeBurlesque and Viktor Devonne on just about every platform, and support the podcast via patreon.com/WeBurlesque. Don't got the cash? Please follow, subscribe, and give 5 stars on every platform you can get your hands on. It really does help. All original material is owned by Viktor Devonne and White Elephant Burlesque Corporation. All other materials property of their respective copyright. No infringement, while likely, is intended.
This episode and all episodes thereafter are in memory of Lucky Charming. Miss you, friend. And that's it.
Woohoo!